Everything we had was taken from us. Your parents, your brother, your home, everything. We lived in constant fear. This is what happened to me.
Gerda was one of only a few survivors of a 3-month, 350-mile death march.
The murder of my mother saved my life. I was in the hand of a brutal enemy.
It was an indescribable scene.
He looked like God to me. I woke up, but she didn't. She died in my arms.
Saw some skeletal figures.
I knew what I had to say. She lies in an unmarked grave somewhere in Czechoslovakia. We'll go to the end, whatever the end will be.
Gerda was trapped inside a building and seconds away from certain death. How did she make it out alive?
Taken to a train. And of course, then I was with my friends, and I think we all started talking and facing the reality, what was probably happening. And I had a friend by the name of Ilse Kleinzähler. I'd known Ilse since childhood. Ilse was a little younger than I, and we looked quite a bit alike, and people took us as sisters. Her mother and my mother were close friends, and they decided that we should be close friends as well. My mother always told me what a well-behaved, nice, good little girl Ilse was, how beautifully she played the piano, how I should be more like her, and predictably I hated to play with her. Together we were sold into the same camp. And as a matter of fact, Ilse had a horrible headache on that train, and she said, oh, if somebody would just have an aspirin or something. And really stunning, beautiful, tall, slim, red-headed girl, very friendly face, and she said, oh, I have one. And she introduced herself in sort of in a very open manner, and she said, my name is Susie Kunz. The windows of the train were open. It was a beautiful summer day. I said, won't it be fun when we make that journey back? And she said that war is going to go on for a long time. And I said, no, it won't. She said, it's going to be years. I said, no, it's going to be less than 6 months. And she said, I wouldn't bet on that. And I said, I would. And we made a bet and shook hands on that. And the bet was for a quart of strawberries and some whipped cream to be payable after the war. I lost that bet.
Those whom the SS judged unable to work were killed. Those who could work would be used for forced labor under punishing conditions.
In the camps, we became to each other the only family we had. She left me many memories of some unforgettable gifts. The first was in a bitter camp called Greenberg, where one morning on the way to the factory in which we worked, she found a single raspberry in the gutter. She carried that treasure in her pocket all day long to present it to me on a leaf which she plugged through the barbed wire. Can you imagine a world in which one slightly bruised, dust-covered raspberry becomes your entire possession, and to give this treasure to a friend? Tragically, she never tasted another raspberry again.
During the final days of World War II, in the hills of southern Czechoslovakia, U.S. Army cameras recorded the aftermath of a little-known Nazi atrocity. American troops had come upon the bodies of young women who had been killed during the final stages of a 3-month death march. Of the 2,000 women who began the march, fewer than 150 would survive to be liberated. For each of the survivors, liberation would mark the end of a 6-year nightmare through ghettos, deportations, slave labor camps, and forced marches.
It was bitter cold. It was in January. And I was coughing terribly. I had a very bad cold. And my 3 dearest friends, Susie Kunz, Liesl Stepper, and Ilse Kleinzähler, and I, we huddled together, the 4 of us. And in the morning, very early, the doors opened, not to the type of freedom we had hoped, but it opened to an incredible picture. There was freshly fallen snow for as far as the eye could see. And we were told to assemble 4 abreast. So, of course, there were the 4 of us. We held hands and we took the first step. And I guess we all knew that this is going to be the first step to the end of the road, either to liberation or to doom. And on the side were the SS men and the SS women, and they lifted their whips and they said, "Forward, march." And we started to march. On the 28th of April, Ilse wasn't well at all. She was sort of hallucinating. She was saying things which I didn't know what she meant. But then she became totally lucid. And one of the most shocking things was that one of my other friends had somehow found 2 potatoes. And she gave them to me. She said, "It's for you and for Ilse." I gave Ilse a potato and she said she wasn't hungry. It was the most incredible statement, not to be hungry. And she said to me, "You eat it." And then she said, "I'm angry at no one. And I hope nobody is angry at me." And then she said, if my parents and Kitty was her little sister, she said, if they survive, don't tell them how I died. And there was a little brook nearby, so I got up and I wanted to get it. And as S-man came and he shoved me, and I begged him to let me have water for her. And he kicked her head. So it was raining and so I caught some water in my hands and I gave it to her. And I held her and we both fell asleep. I woke up, but she didn't. We heard American planes overhead. There was shooting. The German army was running away. There were people on the roads with children, with animals. Tremendous chaos. Susie went out to get some water and she has not returned. So I went out to look for her. And I found her near the pump. I thought she had fainted, but I touched her. And she was gone. I wanted to tell her, Susie, and I did tell her. I said, Susie, we are liberated, we are free. We had made a bet more than 3 years earlier. I said we will be liberated. And she said we would not.
Strange-looking car coming down a gentle hill. On the hood of the vehicle, not the white swastika, but the white star of the American Army.
There were women scattered over the floor, trying to get some water from a hand pump, but over on the other side, leaning next to against the wall, next to the entrance of the building, I saw a girl standing, and I decided to walk up to her.
I remember that aura of that awe, of the disbelief in daylight, to really see someone who fought for our freedom, for my ideals, And he looked like God to me. I knew what I had to say. And I said to him, we are Jewish, you know. For a very long time, at least to me it seemed very long. He didn't answer me. And then his own voice betrayed his emotion. He was wearing dark glasses. I couldn't see his eyes. He said, so am I.
I asked about her companions.
He said, may I see the other ladies? A form of address we hadn't heard for 6 years. I told him that most of the girls were inside. They were too ill to walk. And he said to me, won't you come with me? I didn't know what he meant. So he held the door open for me and let me precede him. And that was the moment of restoration, of humanity, of humaneness, dignity, of freedom. And this first young American of Liberation Day is now my husband. He opened not only the door for me, but the door to my life and my future.
Gerda Weissmann and Kurt Klein were married in June of 1946. Gerda Weissmann would never find out what happened to her brother. Her father and mother are known to have been deported to Auschwitz. Kurt Klein's parents were unable to escape Nazi Germany. They too are reported to have died in Auschwitz. Of the 2,000 women who began the death march, most would die along the route to Czechoslovakia. 95 of these women are memorialized in this small cemetery in Volary. Among the monuments are those dedicated to Liesl Stepper, Susie Koons, and Ilse Kleinzahler, the friends of a young survivor named Gerda Weissmann.